Following the public money can sometimes feel like fighting City Hall. It's hard. It can feel intimidating. It might be confusing, but we can break it down in community. When we talk about local government, we're talking about 3 governments in total: the municipality, the county, and the public schools. There are 4 key elements to following the public money, and they include understanding the role of the tax levy, understanding the budget timelines, following the press for updates, and finally, engaging the process itself as members of the public. Let's look at the local levy first. What connects your tax bill to your local government budgets are the tax levies. The tax levy is one type of revenue that each government uses to fund itself. Taxpayers help fund the budgets. As such, taxpayers should and can understand what those budgets are about. But to understand the local budgets, we have to engage the budget process, and that leads us to the importance of budget timelines. Let's use a 12-month calendar year timeline to understand the chronology, and we'll use Jersey City as an example. From a tax bill perspective, if there is a property tax expense change, it tends to fall in quarter 3 or quarter 4 of the calendar year, which means what drives the change is actually happening earlier in the year in February through July. Let's take a look at how this all works. The local budget process begins in late February when the governor announces the budget priorities. This includes proposed amounts of state aid. State aid is a source of revenue for each of the local governments, including the public schools, the municipalities, and the counties. Let's take a more focused look at the schools and municipality in particular. Within a few days of the governor's budget address, state aid numbers for the school districts are released. This kicks off the school budget process. The school budget process is subject to a strict timeline which lasts about a month. State law requires that the school district prepare its budget on or before March 22nd each year. This means there's typically less than 1 month for the school district to share a proposed budget with the public, and for the public to then weigh in on that draft budget and share concerns or ask questions. Once approved in late March, the draft school budget goes to the county for review. Once approved, the finalized school budget will take effect starting in July, because schools operate on a fiscal year basis from July 1 through June 30th. So an important note here is that the schools are forced to budget ahead. This is in contrast with the municipality, which we'll look at next, and we'll continue with Jersey City as the example. Jersey City operates on a calendar year basis, and in New Jersey, municipalities are not forced to budget ahead. They are not subject to the same strict timeline mandates that constrain the school budget process. A look back at prior year public data in Jersey City shows that the timeline for the municipal budget process has varied from year to year. In most years, the budget process began with an introduced budget in the February timeframe and concluded in the July timeframe, and this generally overlapped with the school's budget process. However, in the last 2 years, the budget process has begun later, with the proposed budget not shared until June, and ended later. So let's look at how all of this impacts taxpayers through the tax bills. But first, let's do a super quick primer on tax rate math. We start out with a budget, which requires a levy. The levy is then used to compute the tax rate, which is then used to compute your tax expense. Your tax expense is updated only after this rate update can occur. In Jersey City, for instance, there was a school levy increase approved in May by the Board of Education, and the school tax rates were then updated in time for the August tax bills. In October, the City Council approved a city levy increase, and that rate update was made in time for the November tax bills. And what this points to is, if you want to understand your tax bills and be engaged in understanding not only what your tax bill funds, but also how much tax should be invested, then the time to engage is earlier in the year during the budget deliberation process. The public budget documents are accessible via the local government websites, and you can listen and participate in public hearings. You can also contact your local elected representatives for details on when the meetings will occur and the substance of the budgets they will be deliberating on. But you should also tune into the local press. The local press outlets will often send reporters to cover these hearings, dig into the nuance, and aim to share pertinent details about how budget decision-making may impact your tax bills. So let's recap. We can follow the public money. We need to get grounded in the levy to do so. We need to understand the budget timelines, follow the local press, so that we can then engage the process.